Oh, that's hilarious.
All right, I gotta press another button. Go live. Jeez, what is it not connected? Fate has lost access to Facebook account. Hold on. Maybe we're on. Okay, we are on. Why does this keep doing this? All right, children. It is Friday before a holiday weekend, and some people are gone. MIA. But hey, it's been a very exciting week. It was very exciting overnight. We got a lot of things to talk about. But first, what I wanted to let everybody know, and let if we could have maybe a moment of silence or whatnot. Jerry Tussaud's wife passed away yesterday. Yes. They have been married 67 years. And I know she's been struggling with some stuff, and Jerry let us know last night. And we really, our hearts with Jerry, been great with us, and just keep him and his family in your prayers if you don't mind. So, okay. What the other big news, there's a lot of crazy things going on, but there was a post last night, a True Social post where Donald Trump laid into David Pasco. Did everybody see that?
No. Yes.
Yes, you saw it. So I don't know if Olga can throw it up on the screen or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd
rather we don't.
Well, I mean, it's good. What we are interested in finding out, because obviously, if we have a lot of folks that are, I have never seen one candidate. All of our MAGA America First, certainly the GOP leaderships in the different counties, the not the Rhino counties, but obviously the America First counties have gotten behind. There are splits, between who different groups and folks support on governor and things like that. But it has been a consistent 100% essentially of people supporting David Pasco. Even from our pro-life friends, knowing he's was a Democrat in the past, or certainly ran as a Democrat in the past, they've been supportive of him. So what I find most curious about it, because I mean, think about it. If you're the president of the United States, we have 50 states. Absolutely. We have 100 senators, 435 House members. You've got all these. He's getting involved in some lower level races and governor's races and things like that. He has a lot of people that are telling him things. Mm-hmm. Now, what we have fallen down on, I'm saying the grander we of the grassroots, the MAGA America First, GOP grassroots, we do not have or have not emphasized our connections with the White Houses of the world and the people that can whisper in the president's ear and those types of things. We focus more on the people. I go to an event, it's like when the president was here in Pickens in the great booing of Lindsey Graham, everybody knows about. I was not in there. I mean, we had tickets and seats and all that kind of stuff to get in there and get up front and all that kind of jazz. I was out, sweating in the lines, talking to people, letting them know about, all the things that we were doing and trying to, finding people to bring into the grassroots. I'm not the type of guy that likes, going and talking to all the fancy people or however you want to call it, but Donald Trump's not that way either. If you ever been to an event where he is, he goes around and shakes the hands of all the security people and the other people out there. When we met him right before COVID in March of 2020, up at his last rally before the 2020 election up in Charlotte, we got in because we participated in that Presley kind of led that Operation Chaos to go into the Democratic primary because we didn't have a Republican. So we went into the Democratic presidential preference primary and voted for Bernie over Biden. Over Biden because we thought it'd be easier to beat Bernie. And there was a big to do about it. And that's why the president invited us to come up there, a dozen of us or so, to come up and meet him. But all the fancy people went in first, the Mulvaney's and all those kind of people. And then, the 12 of us went in there and he spent like 20 minutes. And, I'm like, there's like 20,000 people out there waiting on you. You're sitting there talking and shooting the bull with us. But that's the kind of person he is. But there are people that spend more time playing the games and doing the politicking and all that kind of stuff. And we've got to get better at it because somebody pulled a string. Somebody asked the president to do this. It could be anyone from Lindsey Graham to the governor to, it could be Alan Wilson. It just think of that level of representation from the state on down. It could be some congressional people. Who knows who it could be? And who knows what the deal was or why they did it. I'm sure if you took a small piece of information, seeing David Pasco supporting Biden, you take that one video and show it, oh, of course I'll do that. Of course I'll call this guy out. But nobody ever from the connections to the grassroots and to the MAGA America First people like us, did they ask? Did they say, hey, what do y'all think of him? It's been pretty universal to us that Pasco is completely supported by us, but we don't have the connections into the ear of the president to be able to do that stuff. So that's a battle we are losing, and that's a battle that I think we now need to engage in. And I talked to some people this morning saying, hey, what do you think about this? What do we need to do? I'm like, nothing changes. Nothing changes for us. Does anybody know a lifelong Republican running for attorney general, or even possibly could run for attorney general, but certainly we only have two other options, that will prosecute corruption in the state? I don't know anybody, but I know David Pasco will prosecute corruption in the state. And that is, I think, our overall mission of what we've been trying to do for long term. That's what I think Donald Trump is trying to do, is prosecute corruption. And somebody whispered in his ear because they're scared. And what I am going to encourage everybody to do is look for the folks out there that flip on him or say, or use the excuse of, it's the same people that use the excuse, Donald Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham, so we got to support Lindsey Graham, right? That's not necessarily quite true. Well, there aren't any public polls that I've seen out there. I think I've been told that I think it will go to a runoff. I would assume Pasco will be in that runoff. And so we'll have, we got 2 weeks of early voting that starts on Tuesday. Then we got the election, which will start 2 weeks from Tuesday. And then we'll have 2 weeks of a runoff. So obviously the idea is get him into the runoff, and then we can really, work on, but we've got a month before the runoff election actually happens to sit there and try to get the word to the White House and to those types of people. I was told even recently, because I asked, I was like, hey, what do we need to do to reach out? Should we reach out to the president and all that kind of stuff? And I was told that the president wasn't going to get involved in this particular race, which is fine.
But we have a good question.
Okay.
Tell me, why don't you like Stumbo?
Oh,
I think it's
no, that is a very legitimate question. He seems nice personally. We chatted, Oldest chatted with him because she's seen him at the State House, a great deal. But my two personal reasons, because I sent him a letter about this in March asking him to, respond to us about it. I actually have it here because I showed it to somebody the other day. But it's a 2-page letter, I think, or 3-page letter apparently, asking about 2 issues, and I think about 90 pages of backup court documents and stuff. The 2 issues that I have had personal interaction with is, number one, my counterpart, the former chair in Lexington County GOP, a guy by the name of Craig Caldwell, embezzled $113,000 from the Lexington GOP and from the Rotary Club, I believe, those 2 organizations. If I embezzled or criminally embezzled or there was $1,000 missing from the Greenville GOP, what do you think would happen to me? This guy lied about the bank statements, lied about the treasurer's reports, covered it up, moved money in and out from the Lexington GOP account to his personal account, all this type of stuff. Pamela Godwin, the person that replaced him down there, our friend in 23, she has been maliciously tortured because she exposed it, because she is the one that found it. And what did David Stumbo do? Because he let him off on, I think it was 30 months probation. $113,000 from the Lexington GOP and from the Rotary Club. And it's in the paper. You can just type in the words Craig Caldwell, Lexington GOP embezzlement, and
How
hit
do you
enter.
spell Cole?
Caldwell.
Caldwell.
Correct. Caldwell. And Olga's got it on the screen. I don't know if she's got it on the big screen up there. Former Midlands GOP leader pleads guilty to breach of trust. Breach of trust is the term for embezzlement. So, I mean, this guy is now going to GOP meetings, or auxiliary club meetings in Lexington now. I couldn't show my face because I'd be in jail for 30 years, probably longer than RJ May and longer than all this other stuff, but that's the good old boy system here in the state of South Carolina. That's what we complain about. That's what we're fighting. I've asked Stumbo, why did you give him 30 months probation?
And it wasn't a time served.
Time served.
Well, time, sir. I guess when he got arrested,
Yeah.
they have to process him, put him in an orange suit, whatever. I don't even know if he wore an orange suit. Oh, the picture does have him in an orange
Who
suit.
was
Yes.
who was the one that did the embezzling?
Craig Caldwell, the former chairman of the Lexington GOP, embezzled $113,000.
Chairman of the
Lexington County GOP. And you see the article up there, it's Fish News article, but there's state newspaper articles, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, can you imagine? This is the good old boy system.
Absolutely.
They're trying to put me in jail for what? Not responding timely to a discovery request. Really? Literally nobody has ever heard of this or seen it. I have no lawyer I've talked to has ever seen it.
Was the money
With me?
returned? Was the money returned?
I think he paid some back, but it wasn't the full amount. It was something. I know the Lexington GOP settled for some $7,000 or $10,000. I don't know.
So they got 30 months probation,
Yes,
no jail time.
no jail time. Only a couple hours while they were processing him when he got initially arrested. Yes.
So what's the second reason?
The second reason is because I have, we've been suing and dealing with the cases with Chad Conley, former SCGOP chairman. He's now the state executive committeeman for Newberry. A whole bunch. He's been involved in politics, here in the state of South Carolina for a long time. In the lawsuit where I filed a declaratory law or judgment lawsuit, which is really you sue another party, but it's really not you're suing them. What you're doing is you have to have a plaintiff and a defendant. But we were asking the court to rule upon an interpretation of the law. The interpretation of the law was because Chad Conley, they were only supposed to take 2% of fundraising for administrative and overhead costs. Chad Conley was taking 15%, and this is the school choice. Well, the board was approving it and paying him, but Chad was the executive director. And in my world, the IRS world, if you're the executive director of a nonprofit, you have deemed knowledge of the law and all that kind of stuff. And we were screaming from the mountaintops, how's this guy taking all this money? Because he was getting paid over $11,000 a month to administer this nonprofit, and it was literally the worst rated nonprofit of its kind in the entire United States of America. But he was given that job because he couldn't find anything else to do. But we asked for that interpretation of the law. Chad Conley wanted filed a motion to have the case dismissed, saying that I was going to hurt their fundraising. The fundraising was already in the dumps. And he filed an affidavit saying that they had raised, I think his statement was like close to like $1 million or something like that. I'm like, it's impossible. Why I knew it was impossible because one of their board members was calling us and telling us it was a lie. So we knew it. So they were helping. One of his fellow board members with Exceptional FC was giving us inside information. His problem now because I don't really care, but he was telling us what was going on, so we filed it with the court. But he filed a sworn affidavit to get the case dismissed, and it was a breach of trust type of case too, because I do believe, and we were going to follow up on it, but I believe it was embezzlement. And that you don't talk about somebody scared of David Pasco. It's probably Chad Conley and some people that helped cover it up. But again, it was a lie on a sworn affidavit filed with a court. They said they raised like $1 million. They'd raised like 50,000. So it wasn't a small immaterial amount. It was a massive lie on a sworn affidavit in an attempt to get a case dismissed where it was looking like he could be embezzling funds. Somebody was breaking the law, whether it was the board or him. Somebody was breaking the law, and ultimately the director of the Department of Revenue, who also had supervision over this particular nonprofit, said you got to cut your expenses, and the expense was Chad Connolly, so he got the boot. But the judge refused, and I filed, to have sanctions or whatever because of the false sworn affidavit. Check this out: the judge that wants to put me in jail for not answering discovery questions soon enough, and he denied me on a motion, extend my time to answer that. He said, "Oh, I did not use that affidavit in dismissing the case because there's jurisdictional issues in dismissing the case, so I'm not going to look at it." I'm like, it's mathematical, the lie. It was done to get rid of a case to cover for himself. And remember, at the same time, SLED was investigating Chad Connolly for the embezzlement. And the reason our run for governor, Alan Wilson, refused to prosecute is because they said Chad did not have the necessary criminal intent. He was too stupid to know he was stealing or wasn't intending to be stealing. But from my observations and the way I see it and believe it, and I think the way a jury, certainly a grand jury, and then a jury would find it. So I reached out because that particular jurisdiction was, this was Newberry County, which is under it's one of the counties in Stumbo's district, is the solicitor's district. And I asked him to look at this. And that's why I got all the backup I sent him, and I'm happy, we'll put it out. I'm happy to let anybody look at it. But I'm like, here is a materially false sworn affidavit with intent of getting a case dismissed against him. And will you do anything about it? Obviously, Stumbo didn't want to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole because guess what? If he wants to run for re-election or wants to run for attorney general, you really don't want to upset and piss off people that are involved in politics. So he put himself above enforcement of the law because this was Chad Connolly, a former SCGOP chairman, gets involved with churches and all that kind of stuff. So he let Chad Connolly off on filing a false sworn affidavit. Now, it's the joke with the grand jury is you can indict a ham sandwich. You show this evidence right here, mathematical, proven, other depositions or affidavits supporting it, and Stumbo won't do it. So Stumbo is a type that plays politics. I don't think David Pasco, if there was $1,000 missing and the party came after me, he'd put me in jail. He's not going to play politics. He's not going to play politics for me. He's not going to play politics for other people. Of the few people out there, and I'm probably one of them, we're willing to call anybody and everybody out. And that's the reason I don't like Stumbo.
Can we add one more? Can we add one more issue to it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just adding it to this stage when you talk about.
Oh yeah. This, the other thing, that's my two personal issues that I've had actual firsthand experience with. This other issue that's out there is apparently somebody in his jurisdiction in Lawrence County raped and murdered was he 2 years old? 2-year-old, and they did not seek the death penalty.
Did he only get like 1 year prison for that?
I don't know the timing, guy. I think he got.
It was maybe even a life sentence, but
I think it was
because of this plea deal, Stumbo decided not to go for that penalty.
Now,
And if you read the story, if you have the guts to read the story, because I have cried over the story for the longest time, even though I don't know the people, I don't know the kid. If you read what happened to that child, if we cannot seek or we refuse to seek death penalty for a case like that, that's just not.
it is a heartbreaking case. It's like I read some of the documentation with RJ May, and you're just like, you got to be kidding me. These things are hard to read, but that's what the solicitors are supposed to do. You talk about David Pasco's talked about seeking the death penalty of these guys. I think it's because, and the allegations are, he's not comfortable, actually, having a death penalty case. That he's never had a death penalty case, as far as I've heard, never tried it. So that's a really bad thing. And then there's obviously Stumbo's under this investigation for taking the funds. I think it's like $37,000 over a 3-year period as mileage or auto reimbursement or something like that. And it really looks like it's just a wash of free tax-free money for himself.
Tell people how that the prosecutor came to Pasco's event and challenged him on this, that he's not being nice to Luke.
Oh yeah, there was we did go to a David Pasco event down in at the Clinton House, and for whatever reason, I don't know the backstory about the owner of the Clinton House is obviously he's very upset with Stumbo because he has a personal experience with the legal system down there, and Stumbo was not exactly law enforcement on it, but there was a public defender that I think, did they represent this person? But it was a public defender that tried this case or represented this.
She was defending Looper, which is
Looper.
the murder.
Yeah, she came and showed up at his event and was challenging Pasco on why would he even want to go after the death penalty of these people. Now, this is a public defender. It's somebody we pay. Most public defenders are pretty much on the left, and they don't like the death penalty and all that kind of stuff. And you can argue the death penalty and discuss the pros and cons of it, but it exists. It's a horrible case. Raped and murdered a 2-year-old boy. Tortured. I mean, didn't he take the child and attach him to a ceiling fan and turn the ceiling fan? I mean, it is
It's horrific.
it's horrific.
I mean, there's pure evil in this world.
Grab the mic. If you got a question.
Well, I don't really have a question.
No,
Is there a button?
Nope. It's always
It's
it's
on.
always
Okay. I really don't have a question, but I know that my wife used to live in Stumbo's area, and she thought he was soft on crime. It's more than just that issue. And she just really didn't like him at all.
Wow.
There was somebody that this guy stalked this woman or something like that and raped her or something like that. And I don't remember the story, but it was bad, and he didn't do enough.
Well, we have run into him because Olga ran into him a time or two. He was associated with a house rep that we liked a lot, and why in the heck was he down at the state house, hobnobbing with people? It's because he has political ambitions. We all joke, even Pasco talking about it. He's not going to run for any other office. He just wants to be a prosecutor and prosecute corruption, and I think that's what he wanted to do since probably even before the Citadel as a kid. But AG typically is for aspiring governor. Look at Alan Wilson. I mean, Alan Wilson probably would have run for governor 8 years ago against Henry had he not needed to stay in the AG's office to cover up all the bad deeds he had been doing with the Quinn investigation, which David Pasco was the one prosecuting because Alan Wilson wouldn't prosecute him. One of the biggest problems in the state is corrupt legislators and it's corrupt political consultants. And that's what Pasco is attacking. Now, who has the most ability to get into the ear of the president of the United States and tell him to go after this guy? It's the Lindsey Graham's on down. So I am very curious to find out who it is, number one. Number two, we, as part of the grassroots, we have got to step up our game and get involved and start getting the ear of the people in the White House. And we need to push it a little bit harder. I've pushed and asked for a few things with some of our representatives on, in the past, just small things. But I mean, this is the time where we got to start stepping it up because, this is what kills our momentum. Not that it kills our momentum or slows us down or we're going to stop it, but it kills the effort. 4.5 years we have been hearing from David Pasco. GOP, he started in Greenville in January 6, 2022. I took more grief about it than anybody on the planet, and now everybody's on judicial reform, right? Because I knew this guy was going to talk about corruption, judicial reform, bad judges, all this type of stuff. So think about it. The entire power structure is against David Pasco, but they have the ability to get to the White House. We need to have the ability to get to the White House, our elected officials, and say, hey, these things need to be fixed. You're not doing it. You don't want to do it. This guy's willing to do it. You got nothing to fear, let him in there. But look who's, in my impression, who's the most excited person in Greenville County or certainly in this state? It might be Adam Morgan. I've watched Adam Morgan trashing on David Pasco, and I'm like, that's our little thing here in Greenville that we deal with. But why is Adam Morgan trashing on David Pasco and Ron Reddy? It's kind of funny to watch that. Ron Reddy wants to go clean up a bunch of stuff.
Train as well.
David Pasco wants to go clean up a bunch of stuff. And who the heck is Adam Morgan, who is supposedly Freedom Caucus wants to clean up the swamp? Who's he attacking most? David Pasco and Ron Reddy. It is like, are we seeing what the heck is going on?
Yes.
These people watch what they do, not what they say, because they're lying to us. They're lying to all of us. And this is going to be the death of Adam Morgan. Yes.
Yeah. I have two reasons. I mean, I'm on a few other feeds. I'm not on social media, so I don't see anything. So I'm glad. But Pascal has a bad reputation right now with some people because of his Democrat roots or whatever. But the story I know about Stumbo, and I only heard it from another friend of mine, was that there was a black woman, a mother of 5, I don't know which county, I guess wherever he was, who was married to a man who beat her regularly. She killed him in the midst of a spousal abuse situation, and Stumbo managed to get her in jail for 7 years before her supporters worked hard at getting her free. A mother of 5 who killed her husband during a beating. The other thing that bothers me about Stumbo, I mean, I don't know, I haven't lived here long enough to know the rest of the story or where this came from. I can ask my friend. But the other thing about Stumbo is that all the sheriffs, or a lot of sheriffs, are supporting him. And my thing is the illegal immigration and how it's, nobody does anything. And this is something that Ron Reddy talked about the other night, that they can do something. They can change which form of the so-called anti-immigration contract they have. They can. This is what the electorate. We want illegal immigration enforced. Nobody cares, and even nationally, they are putting a hold on that, on getting rid of illegal immigration. So the other thing I want to say is, what about the third person? I don't know.
Stephen Goldfinch.
Yeah. What can be said about him? Why would people support him?
He went to the Citadel, so I'm like,
Good enough.
he did do a good commercial at the Citadel on campus and all that stuff. I think he was 2000. He graduated in the 2000s after we did, but he went there when there were girls and air conditioning, so it doesn't really count.
So you're saying
That's a complete joke. I don't. He's never been a prosecutor. I don't think he was in the military JAG and did some stuff in there. So I think that's his thing. The thing, it's the issue that I have. I mean, Goldfinch has been good to us on school choice and something. We've never had a negative interaction with him, but he was the guy. He and Larry Grooms were the two that went after Curtis Loftus last year.
Yeah.
That was a massive deal breaker for us. So,
Which was also negative. Goldfish said.
Later on, Goldfish made the comment that he didn't, really mean it. That he did. He was told to do it. So by leadership, and that's why. So that's the big knock against Stephen Goldfinch. And I will tell you, we need to get it out. And we probably need to get him on here and actually have the conversation with him. But Curtis Loftus actually was on a podcast earlier this week talking about how bad Stephen Goldfinch is.
Really?
So, we're obviously big, we don't want to be blind supporters of anyone. I ask y'all, don't be a blind supporter of me and what challenge us all, right? But when Curtis Loftus is proving himself, my statement is I don't like 95% of politicians. I can't tell you the 5% I do like. Curtis would be amongst that percentage. David Pasco would be amongst that small percentage. And I think they're good, honest people that really do want to fight the corruption and do support the grassroots in doing that. So but Curtis apparently said a lot of things about Stephen Goldfinch, which I got to go watch, and then maybe we can get him on here. Yeah, but I do think it's going to go to a runoff. We'll see how this has some impact. Some of these things just wash off, and it's not a big deal. The other side, I mean, be prepared. The Adam Morgans of the world that are probably scared to death this guy's going to think about. Why would Adam Morgan be scared of a David Pascoe? Why would an Adam Morgan not want a guy like David Pascoe? Anybody have
something wrong? He's afraid of being caught.
Right. I think so. I think he's afraid of being caught at something. What is from our personal experience, what has Adam Morgan participated in that may be illegal? The reorg fraud of 2021, the attempted reorg steal of 2023. Adam Morgan was absolutely integrated and instrumental in it. That is okay to be battling out, I don't support this person, that person, but to sit there and take the system and literally cheat it. Adam Morgan was harvesting ballots. Adam Morgan was literally knocking on doors. He was literally knocking on doors, harvesting ballots, because we had people tell us about it and give us sworn statements about it. When at the same time, the state party was telling us, "Oh no, you can't go collect and harvest ballots like that," while they were doing it, and literally the paid employee of the SCGOP was going around town collecting them from people, because we had people reaching out to us and saying, "This doesn't seem right. Are they letting your side do this?" And the answer is obviously no, they're not letting us do it. But Adam Morgan was out there doing that. I think it's criminal. I don't know. I'm not a prosecutor, but what has David Pascoe talked about? The public corruption unit. Adam Morgan, public. Adam Morgan doing things I think is corrupt, and that's what he's scared of. Adam Morgan was allegedly, the Freedom Caucus is about upsetting the whole system and taking out and fighting this corruption and pushing, but no, they're just as bad as they have dark money backing them, just like the rest of them. Just like the rhinos, that we do fight in leadership that have dark money backing them. What is the difference? And the difference is I expect it out of the Democrats. I expect it out of rhino or establishment leadership. I don't expect it out of people that go around and tell all of our folks that they're fighting for freedom and liberty and limited government when they're taking dark money and doing it. That's the one I will give Ron Reddy a lot of credit, the fact that he was not taking money from outside for any donors. None whatsoever, and it's like, who's controlling Ron Reddy? I think it's Ron Reddy. There's people, you can have the argument, well, maybe somebody's giving him some money somewhere else. I don't know. I mean,
he's funding his campaign totally out of pocket.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They gave Trump $1 million.
He did give Trump $1 million
Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, when he was running.
for
Yeah.
president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't personally-
There was a second half to that
I
story,
heard
but
on
that's
the
okay.
radio a couple of days ago on Tara's show.
Grab the mic so they can hear you.
Huh?
Grab the mic so they can hear. We're getting all kinds of complaints about the audio.
Trump came out and said that he can't support Pascoe because he's a rhino, he's a Democrat. Vote against him. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. He made a true social post last night against Pascoe, calling him a rhino, and that MAGA, the grassroots, ought to vote for somebody else. Now he didn't endorse one of the other two.
Democrat and a rhino.
I was thinking the very same thing.
I don't know. It's
Doesn't make sense.
who knows.
We went.
I
I took my wife out to eat last night, and we listened to Reddy on the talk radio
Oh yes.
from 4 to 5, and she said, "Damn, he sounds like a Trump." I mean, he went to Wharton's business school, and he's got an ego. And I said, "Well, he's great. That's what we need." Oh, I don't know.
So anyway,
The governor's race is going to be interesting. My only fear, and I'll tell any of them, I really wish, and if anybody can get this to them, or maybe I should get it to them, Alan Wilson, Pam Yvette, I don't think, that's the establishment. Pam Yvette's more of what McMaster's been doing. Alan Wilson is more of the corruption type stuff we're worried about. So you got the other three, and I'm not including Josh Kimbrell, but you got Ron Reddy, you got Nancy Mace, you got Ralph Norman. If they actually cared about what we want and what accomplishing what they're campaigning on is, you see anybody seeing Pam Yvette saying we're going to go in there and shake up the system and do some no, but these three are. I wish they would get together and figure something out. But it does become ego, and it does become they're invested in it. I love what Ken Paxton did. Ken Paxton was in the runoff against John Cornyn. He said, Senator Cornyn, if you will get rid of the filibuster, or maybe it was even just pass the Save America Act, I'll drop out of the race.
Yeah.
He was up in the polls, I think at least 11%. He was in the betting odds at that time. It was like 60-40, if not even worse. And he said, I will drop out of the race if you pass the Save America Act.
Yeah.
And guess what John Cornyn did? Zippo. And John Cornyn, they got their runoff election next Tuesday. The betting odds have Paxton at 95% to Cornyn's 5%. Cornyn, the polls have Paxton, I saw this morning, 58% to 35%. He's going to beat Cornyn by 20 points, if not 30. And Cornyn is sitting there trashing Paxton right now, and he's gonna burn the house down. There's ego. There's the people, his donors backing him. Wherever he's gonna get on the. But I'm like, you're out. It's gone. It's over. Why can't you? And watch look what Cassidy did in Louisiana. He came in. They got close primaries in Louisiana. He had Trump endorse somebody else, and they were two good candidates running against Cassidy. Cassidy didn't even make the runoff. That's right. So, you're sitting there, all of a sudden you got, he doesn't even make the runoff. And what is Cassidy doing now? Voting on the other side with the Democrats against Trump. It's all personal and ego, and it's horrible. Yes.
Can we talk about Reddy for a second?
Yeah. Sure.
Before we move on, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Let's finish with Pascal. Someone asked they need to go see him, and tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow at the camp meeting?
It's okay.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it's up on the screen at 9:30. Oh, this is perfect. I forgot that he was coming.
Yeah.
But at the camp meeting, which is our Spartanburg America friends over there, this would actually be a good one. We've seen it 100 times, but it actually might be a good one to go to tomorrow. But if you are undecided about Pasco, go to this at 9:30 tomorrow. The Clockworks Pizza on 2725 Reedville Road in Spartanburg. Go talk to him. I think you really want to hear what he's got to say.
And ask him any questions.
And ask him anything.
Deb online had few questions about Biden.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Deb definitely goes. She was feeling under the weather, but we may live stream. I think they film it over there too. I don't know if they live stream it, but yeah, that's you got to hear from him because this is what's going to get us over the line. People that are willing to look at the law and call this stuff out. He's tough on immigration. He's been pro-life, forever, and pro-death penalty, which is a Republican thing. So it's all good. All right, Ron, ready? Yes, sir.
First of all, thanks for filling me in on Alan Wilson. I've been behind him because he and I have a couple things in common. We're both Eagle Scouts. We're both veterans, but I didn't know about that other stuff.
Yeah.
So, Ron Reddy, where he's sitting right now, what are his odds of winning? Am I throwing away a vote?
Well, that's the concern. That's what I said. I wish those three would come together. I look at the betting odds, and if the betting odds are ever confused, it's probably in this race. The betting odds right now have Pam Avett and Alan Wilson as the top two. And then it has the other three. It starts at Nancy Mace to Ralph Norman to Ron Reddy. And I hate to say it, but I think Ron's at 5%, Nancy's at like 15, and Ralph's at like 8 or somewhere in there. So I want to pile it behind one of those. I wish they would all come together so we didn't have to make the choice of who to pile in behind. But I will tell you on the flip side, there is polling out there that is all across the board. I think people are confused and don't really know. Ron Reddy came out with some polling that really shows that he has the momentum, and it is all about momentum. It's about getting to, what's the vote on election day, and shows a lot that he's in momentum. And was he in second place?
Yes, according to his, yes.
According to his internal polls that were done by an outside group and whatnot.
Alan Wilson.
Was Alan Wilson in first? So my fear is Alan Wilson. Alan Wilson was all into the corruption and the Quins and all that kind of stuff. And from Lexington, it's the Lexington Mafia and Craig Caldwell. We've had incidents with Allen, which he won't prosecute stuff and they won't go after. I mean, it's
Dan Nichols.
Dan Nichols is one, but that's the feds. But but even with Pasco, he's like, yeah, it seems like even the state can find something. Dan Nichols stole political mail out of a mailbox. We have him on video doing it 2 years ago. There's no statute of limitations, fortunately, but and we can't get the feds or anybody to go after. He is a politician. It's one thing if random, Scotty over here goes and steals some mail out of somebody's mailbox. He's not Scotty. So, but it's a much different thing when I am running for office to be your state senator and I'm stealing my opponent's mail out of a mailbox because I don't want, and it was a piece of NRA mail. I don't want them to know that he's a gun supporter, so supported by the NRA. That goes beyond just stealing mail. That goes into election interference and all this kind of other stuff. You can send out hit piece mailers and all that kind of stuff. Can you go steal their other stuff? Can you steal a sign? You can't go steal a campaign sign. You certainly can't steal mail. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when I heard Ram Reddy speak when it's that man, he made a point of saying he's kind of the underdog, but he said if you go and vote, you got to take 5 people with you. So you have to convince 5 other people that he's the candidate. And if everybody does that, we can do it. We can do it.
Win, right? Yeah.
It is. And I like how he talks about that and we're kind of helping in the sense of we just want more turnout. We need more people coming out. We need more regular citizens. And you do need to try to figure out and be informed. And it's easy to get confused. It's easy to look at Alan. Oh, he's an Eagle Scout, a veteran. He does this. Alan gives a good campaign speech.
Oh, he talks good.
I mean, he talks really, really good.
Yeah.
And we saw him
2 years ago at the Boy Scout.
Yeah, I can see it.
We will make America great again. I mean, he and his 3 brothers.
Grab the mic. But he's very good at it. We saw him speaking in Anderson at their kind of governor's forum or whatnot, one by one. But I'm like, it was like nails on a chalkboard for me because I'm like, that person's lying, that person's lying, that person's lying. And when you're involved and you actually see it and you know that they're lying about stuff. I mean, Pam Yvette, we censured her because she would not talk to us.
Exactly.
Not because, it's an ego thing. You got to come kiss the ring. I've heard that whole discussion. I'm like, no. We wanted her to look at school choice. She goes around and tells everybody she's got an open door policy. Come talk to me. So we called her and said, hey, can we come meet? Called and hundreds of, and would not meet and talk to us because she knew Chad Connolly was on the other side of us. So she thought she was going to get Chad Connolly's support and all that kind of stuff. And then how that worked out for her because Chad Connolly supporting Alan Wilson and, the Rhinos down the street, with Nate Lloyd and Adam Morgan, those guys are not supporting her. She treated them a whole lot better than us. She got burned, maybe she'll learn. I don't know, but we shall see. Yes. And we have Patrick coming on here in a minute. So
okay, I'll try to. Can I?
In the back room yet? But he can.
All right. The one thing Ram Reddy said the other night that I really like was that a very clear no to data centers, and Nancy May said that she would restrict any building of data centers for 1 year. I saw a clip this morning of who's that? That woman. Oh God, AOC. Is it AOC? Yeah, from New York, interviewing somebody from the EPA, and she held up a bottle of water. Did you see that? And they're in Georgia. I think it happened in Georgia where the whole community, their water turned brown because of the data centers that are being built. The new thrust for the Democrat Party is going to be data centers and Middle East politics. And the Republican Party appears to be for data centers, and we need to be against it because they are polluting our environment, and the EPA is not protecting us.
Can I comment on that?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can.
I know there's a lot of controversy about the data centers, but they're necessary if we're going to lead the way in AI, if we're going to lead the world. We just need to control them and make sure they're clean.
I think, and I don't know if it was Ron Reddy or somebody else made that comment, put them out in the desert, put a nuclear power plant next to them and do
Or
what
in
you got
space,
to do.
but not in our neighborhoods
Yeah.
or farmland.
Water, I will tell y'all, because this was kind of,
Doesn't have the same water issues.
Sorry?
Kings Mountain doesn't have clean water either. Up towards Charlotte. Yeah.
Really?
water is really the goal of the future. And in the old days, where the big law firm I worked at, we did a lot of the work, and this was public. So we did the work for Ted Turner, who recently passed away. All three of his sons went to the Citadel. One was in my class, one was older, one was a couple years younger. But he was buying up property. Y'all heard he was buying up property all over the place. You know what he was buying? It's public now. People kind of understand it. He was buying property really to get the water rights. Because it is, it's all about the water. You start running out of water, you got trouble.
We got issues.
And as our water bill here was $117 last month because of the cornfield. But I mean, it's really changing. So, any other questions before we go to Patrick? So, because he's here, we're good.
I don't know if I need to say about a minute's worth of information.
Yeah, you can. You have to grab a mic though, so they can hear you.
Thank you.
Identify yourself and who you're working for.
I'm David. I'm with the Ready campaign for governor. So the Ready surge is real. All right. As a volunteer, and I've been on board since it was Doge SC. Okay. And then we all transferred over, or most of us who decided to transfer. But anyway, the Ready surge is real because we can tell it from the number of people that show up at the rallies. Just on Spirit, we have like 2 times more show up than actually reserve tickets. And it just has bloomed from there. I get more people asking me to be volunteers for the Ready campaign. We've done 150,000 mail outs because those newspaper things seem to be doing the trick. And people have been asking a lot of the right questions. So I just wanted to, insert that into the conversation.
And it's in many respects, it's true.
Yes. I can get you.
We've seen it with our folks. People get excited and hearing from them and all that kind of stuff. It's the candidate's case to make, and it's the candidates. Some are more present, less present, all that type of stuff. But I do want him to acknowledge sometime copying us, because the newspaper. We did the paper first, and then he did a paper. I joke about that, but he did have a coffee meeting. A meeting at a coffee house on Thursday or Wednesday morning, one of those days this week, called it Coffee and Conversation. Coffee and politics or coffee. And so I'm just joking.
He's just got good taste.
It works up here too, right?
It does. Oh, were y'all doing it down there too? But okay, we got Patrick. Patrick is running. Let's see if we can add him to the stage. And we can move that one. And we can make Patrick Herrmann. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
I'm getting better at that.
Why is he not getting over here? Hold on, Patrick. We'll be there in 2 seconds.
Oh, I thought you were.
I was trying to. There he goes. We got him on the big screen because I wanted him to have this. So now what we got to do here is work the sound. Hold on 1 second.
That looks like Donald Trump.
That looks like Donald Trump to me. Uh-oh.
I got to turn the volume up. Okay, can you hear us? Okay. So I don't hear him yet.
Are you muted?
I'm not. The speaker's muted? What do you need me to do?
No, just.
He can hear us, okay. I see him talking, but we can't hear him.
Your volume, is it up? Where's the button?
I've got the volume all the way up. We had this problem with Rom when we had him on the other week, except I think it might have been on his side, but he cannot hear us. So Patrick can hear us.
You just can't hear him.
Are you muted?
Are you muted on your side? No. Is your speaker working?
Well, what am I? We are going to figure this out. This is live.
Well, we can hear your computer when
Yeah, when you click.
you click. So we have the sound. So we have the sound. From
Yes, we have sound.
All right.
Can he mute and unmute?
Can you mute and then unmute? But that's his speaker. That's not his microphone.
What do you mean? When you mute yourself, you turn on your mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're on the Zoom. And stuff.
He's still trying to talk. I've muted him. I've unmuted him. And he's still not coming through.
We have no sound coming from him. We
Yeah.
have your sound, we have everyone else's sound.
All right. Olga can see the sound, and we're just not getting any sound from your end. Yeah.
So you're going to be the interpreter?
Can he reboot his computer? That's what Ron did last time.
Oh, did Rom? I think what Rom did last time is he had to turn his computer off and reboot it. Maybe exit out, come back in. We'll try that. Sorry about that. Well, yeah, we're broadcasting,
We
so he'll come back. Okay.
we can hear everyone.
So user error.
Can I
Yes.
ask a quick question about District 17 for the
Yes. Use the mic.
Yeah.
Remember, there are people out there that
Greenville
can't-
County Council.
county council.
Tony
Yes.
Travis Forrester, do we know who he is?
Yes, he is. He's the. Let's see if we get.
Okay, if it doesn't work.
He's talking again, and we
Okay,
can't.
sorry.
We can't hear him. I mean, Oh, he can call. Can he call in?
He's full. Can he get on his phone? Through the same link?
Oh, try to get on with the link through your phone and see if that works. Try that. That's perfect. The District 17 County Council is.
Dill,
Can you do something? Here?
Dill, Ayler, Forrester, and Ford.
Yeah, obviously, and people make their own decision. I'm not a supporter of Joe Dill whatsoever. We've had way too bad experiences. He's, just a bazillion things. James Horde, the same thing. Very bad experiences. He's on the library board, but he was the one that shut down us trying to get some things done there. And then, Travis Forrester seems like a very nice guy. We met him in person. But he's pushed by, Hobart Lewis, and I think he's kind of like the Hobart guy. So John Ellers is kind of who.
And he was the man that was here.
Yes.
A few
Yeah.
weeks ago. Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can get Patrick now.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Let's get him on the big screen. Switch this around. All right, that works. I don't know what it is, Rob. Olga's all happy because she's thinking it was her fault, and I think it's on the other side. I don't know.
Something to do with computer and microphone settings.
Yes, computer microphone settings, whatever. But we got you. That's fantastic. Patrick, am I pronouncing your last name right? Herrmann.
Herman. Yes, Herman.
Hermann. But
Two R's,
Patrick
two
is
N's.
running against Lindsey Graham. He has been very exciting to watch on social media. He's been a lot of fun. But introduce yourself. It's all good. I mean, that's okay. But he's kind of gone after everybody, including Mark Lynch. I'm not a fan of Mark Lynch by any means. What? Yeah, and I've been. It's kind of Olga's laughing, and it's kind of proven out with a 6-page SLED report being exposed. So you do not. Do you have a 6-page SLED report? Let me ask
No,
you.
I don't have Mark's SLED report, but I have no personal SLED report that I'm aware of.
Me too. So congratulations on staying out of trouble, or at least not getting caught. So tell us about yourself. I will say one thing that I'm very happy to know that you're an EC down there in Horry County. So you
Right.
have been involved in the party. You're a precinct EC. But give us your story and tell us, introduction, and then we'll see if we have some questions and such.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, I've tuned in a few times to listen to y'all talk, so this is not my first experience, but I really appreciate the invite. It's very kind of you. And I really wanted to be there in person, but unfortunately I couldn't. But after I win the primary, I'll do my best to come out for the runoff. So
That'd be fantastic. And you will, if elected to the U.S. Senate, you will talk to us, right?
of course, yes, absolutely. I'll even tune in and listen to your concerns. So that's
Thank you,
what
sir.
it's all about, right? So I live in Horry County. I've been here for 33 years. I'm a small business owner. I've had my small business for 26 years. We do cleaning and restoration, mold removal, fire and water damage restoration, and all the repairs associated with it. So we do all that. I go to church right next door to my house, the Myrtle Beach Christian Church. Every Sunday I walk if I can, or I drive my golf cart. So I've got a 32-acre farm right next to the church. I've been traveling all over South Carolina, so every event that I'm invited to, I go to. So last weekend I was in Georgetown for a veterans event on Friday, and then I went to Aiken, which is a stump rally. It used to be Alley in the rally, but they called it like the stump rally, and I got people fired up there. That was a good one. And then I went to Beaufort in a asphalt parking lot, and it was a 97-degree heat index. And I was dressed comfortably, but I tell you what, some of the other candidates out there, Ralph Norman, he was wearing his full suit, and man, I felt sorry for them. The
Yeah, I've been to that area, or I know where their headquarters is, and it has got to be hot. And we saw some video from that event, and there was some other hotness going on that was unrelated to the heat index.
That's right. There was some surprise hotness going on, and but all in all, it was a really good event. I did enjoy it. The Thomas Dismukes was next to me, but he was under the tree. His spot was under the tree. He must have paid a little bit extra or something.
There's all these sneaky little things they do. That's why you got to be careful.
Right. But so I went over there. I was talking to Thomas. He's cool. I like him. And then sometimes people walk up and talk to us, and it was like a parking lot debate. It was really cool. That's grassroots, right? So, but I really enjoy it. I've had a lot of good time with it. I don't like when Lindsey Graham has his closed door events. That's what I don't like. But they let me into one of his events. I've been to 3 events. They wouldn't let me into 2. One in Greenwood and the one in Myrtle Beach at the Veterans Cafe. I even had a ticket, and he had this closed door policy. And I told him, I was like, look, I'll be polite and cordial. I won't heckle. I won't ask questions. I'll be nice. I just want to hear what Lindsey has to say, because I'm a constituent too, right? Yeah. So, but they wouldn't let me in on the veterans event, but I did go to the following event, and that was at Journey Church. And I let them know, I said, hey, there's another event at Journey Church. Are y'all okay with me attending it? And they said, well, it's not our event. And I'm like, well, I'm friends with the pastor at Journey Church, and he's in the GOP. And they said, well, you can go. And I said, well, just to let you know, I said, I'll be polite and cordial. I won't heckle or ask questions. So, and that was interesting. We can talk about that if you want. But so go ahead. What's the next question?
Well, the thing I was going to point out, we do, some friends, booed Lindsey and Pickens and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't a planned event or anything like that. But I do think the senator blames us for that. But what we teach up here is, you can be persistent. It's okay, but always be professional. These people that do things and come to events and try to disrupt, we're not a believer in that. That's what the left does. And we, but I do appreciate candidates that are willing to let others in. And I will give a shout out to Nancy Mace for doing that. She lets them in. When we had a little get together meetup in Simpsonville a couple weeks ago, there were a couple that had tickets and came in, and her group was, the Mace campaign was okay with it, and actually let them ask questions. And then they made fools out of themselves later by threatening to, shoot her in the head and, hand movements, and then, calling her foul language. and stuff like that. So then they were removed. But no, I appreciate that you were persistent about it, and I appreciate that you're a professional too.
Yeah, there's a protester out there. His tag is Myrtle Beach Justice, and he went to protest Nancy Mace, and she talked to him afterward, and now like they're friends, and he's out there promoting her. So like she she listened to a protester and got his attention. So that was pretty interesting. So.
And I do think as an elected official, as a candidate, you ought to listen to everybody. That's where we kind of mock candidates. And I know you did see it. And that's why I was teasing you about the comment that if elected, you would certainly meet and talk to us, because we do, Lindsey Graham won't talk to us. Ralph Norman, for goodness sakes, won't even meet and talk to us.
Wow.
And people need to realize that about those candidates. We did censure Pamela Vett because she didn't talk to us, but we do talk to some people with her campaign, so we at least have that connection. But we haven't reached out to Alan Wilson, and Alan Wilson hadn't reached out to us, so we've avoided that. But I tell people, and I'm just talking to you about it, but I think it's good for a candidate and or an elected official to hear all these people out. Obviously, there's some crazies you need to stay away from, and those types of things. But it keeps us honest as elected officials or representatives of other groups, or of your precinct, or of our county party, or the state party. You ought to hear people out to keep you honest. I've never met with Drew McKissick, and we've got a huge battle going with Drew McKissick in the state party. I've never met with Ellen Weaver, and we've been fighting her in school choice and things like that. So I would encourage you, just keep meeting with people and meet with everybody as you do. So you're doing a good job. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So what got you interested initially into wanting to run? So I mean, obviously we've heard the rumor that you're the plant. When everybody's the plant. Lindsey may be the plant against himself. Who knows? But we've heard you're the plant, funded by Lindsey to kind of shake things up.
I heard I was the plant of, when I first started, but after that, people saw that I was serious and traveling everywhere. They kind of realized that I'm not the plant. But so. Lindsey Graham, we had a fires in Carolina Forest, and he came to Myrtle Beach, and he was talking, and it was close to the campaign time, and so he's out campaigning, and the news media is there, and he's there with Congressman Fry and some other local representatives, and there were some protesters there, and those protesters were chanting town hall, but there weren't a lot of protesters, and they were local. Now I wasn't there. I was working. I own a small business. But I did see the clip of it on YouTube. And so they're chanting town hall. And Lindsey Graham, is trying to talk, but he's kind of bothered that they're chanting that. And so he says, I don't need a town hall. I know what to do. And I saw that clip. Then I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, you don't talk to constituents like that. And then come to find out he has all these closed door events. Even if he has an event and you have a ticket, a lot of times they don't let you ask questions. And I'm like, that's not a good leader. That's not a U.S. senator. And that kind of got the fire lit. And I was like, this is a problem. And I paid attention. I listened to Paul Dans, and I listened to Mark Lynch, and I wanted to see what they had to say. I saw Paul Dans speak 4 times, and Mark Lynch came to our GOP meeting. I saw him speak, and I wasn't excited at all. And if I think that they were good, viable candidates, first thing that Paul Dans was, in my mind, was carpetbagger. And then, when Mark was speaking, it was like eating a bunch of saltine crackers without any water. Like, that's the first. I couldn't believe it. Like, this guy has no personality. And, every time I see Mark around, sometimes he smiles, but him and his wife, like, they don't seem happy. Neither did Paul Dans. Like, they didn't want to be there. And I'm excited every time I get to talk to people. Everyone's like, oh, are you nervous? No, I'm not nervous. I'm just fired up and excited. I'm just like him right now. Well,
well, we like fired up. And I do have one question I got to ask you. This is a test. Right. If the president of the United States and the vice president cannot serve, who would fill the position?
That's the Speaker of the House.
Oh, whoa! You, sir, must be a constitutionalist, and actually have read the Constitution. So,
Look, I'm here to defend the Constitution, to represent South Carolina, South Carolinians, and Americans. America's first, and so that's very important to me. So, of course.
And I've been doing. I told a couple of our friends here this before they came in. It's a little bit of a joke because since you called Paul Dan's a carpetbagger, he's originally from up north, I think, or whatnot, but he's been here for a while, that doesn't bother me. But have you heard of Conway, South Carolina?
Well, yeah, I went to. Of course, I went to school at Coastal Carolina University. That's in Conway. So.
Okay. Oh, it's in Conway. Okay. Well, sir, I just want you to know because I've been called a carpetbagger from Georgia. But I will tell you. I mean, I was born here in Charleston, all that kind of good stuff. But I will tell you, my sixth great grandfather is the gentleman Robert Conway, who Conway was named after because he donated the 223 acres to make the town of Conway, so they named it after him because he was actually in the General Assembly, and I think he was the one who got it named after him. He gave it and then had it named after him. So
how exciting is that?
It is pretty neat. So I just know the people that accuse me of being a carpetbagger are going to be rather disappointed when they know my sixth great grandfather was General Robert Conway.
Wow. Okay.
And my eighth great grandfather was Governor Robert Daniel of Daniel Island. He was governor of North Carolina and South Carolina. So,
look, I love history. I'm a big fan. I love it. I'm the first person in 225 years to run for U.S. Senate from Horry County.
The third only?
I'm the first person to run.
Really? Okay.
In 225 years.
All right. So, well, that's congratulations on that. We'll add it to your genealogy. And my wife Olga just told me I need to step up my game because apparently I'm not doing enough to represent. So tell us this, like how have you found the camp? Have people been receptive of you coming and speaking, or have people pushed you out? I mean, we try to treat everybody as fairly as possible. I mean, obviously our conditions, you got to at least talk to us, but how have you found that?
Well, I know you tried to push me out because my computer wouldn't get sound, but
oh, here it comes! Yeah, Jeff Davis won't let him in because we can actually all hear you. We were faking it.
So look, they do silence you, and they're really good at it. So Lindsey Graham, I didn't know this. I went to an event. I'll tell you a little story here. So I went to an event in Georgetown for the GOP in Georgetown, and there were some candidates there. Pamela was there, and it was at a shooting range. It took about an hour from my house to get there. It didn't take too long, and they were very supportive, and I really it was a good crew there. Okay, it was a really good crew. But all right, I'm getting sidetracked here. What was our point?
Well, just how have you been accepted? I mean, what have been the issues or problems? GOP's not returning calls, anything like that?
All right, so let's get back to it. I lost my track. So there's a big stump meeting in Horry County at the Peanut Warehouse on the 28th, and I told Thomas about it, and he called. He got on the 2-minute. You only get 2 minutes. And he got on there, but I wasn't invited, and so I called, left messages the day before, and they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't return my call, and so I found one of the event coordinators, and I'm like, "Hey, I really would like to, talk." And they're like, "Well, you didn't, sign up enough or soon enough, and you can't talk." And I'm like, "This is crazy. I just need like 2 minutes." So I started making phone calls with people that know people, and they said, "Look, I'll call you back." And so then I got a call back from the same coordinator, and she was like, "Okay, you can talk. We'll give you the 2 minutes. You just can't say anything negative about any candidates. It just has to be about your policy." And look, I'm cool if you tell me what the rules are. I'll play by the rules because I understand that there's a reason we're there. If it's a rally and we're all hyped up and we want to talk about our policy, I won't talk about other candidates. And for the most part, in the public talking perspective, I have not talked about other candidates. except maybe a little bit about Lindsey Graham. In Aiken, I kind of made some points about how his constituent services are not that good, and I talked about examples. So, but at any rate, so come to find out that Lindsey Graham is going to attend this event, and the people putting on the event were big Lindsey Graham supporters, and so that's an example of being censored, in my opinion, and that I don't like. My Twitter was canceled out, my X account. I call it Twitter, but my X account I had for 15 years, and that got canceled. They said it was inauthentic, even though I've had it for 15 years. I was not a real person. So I had to start a new account, get new followers, reestablish relationships with the social influencers. So that's probably the most difficult part of running for U.S. Senate when you don't have, $100 million like Lindsey Graham with the support of political action committees, or even $6 million like Mark Lynch. So
when was your X or Twitter account closed or canceled?
That was closed out. This is probably about a month and a half ago, and I'm back on. I've got a whole bunch of new followers, but that was rough. And I got a phone call, and someone hung up the day before. It was on a Saturday, it cut off, and they said Lindsey Graham's cutting your Twitter account. They hung up from a spoofed number, and I was like, oh, whatever. And sure thing, the next day it was cut off. Now, was it Lindsey Graham or was it? But how did they know what happened? So.
It's interesting because there are people that will pull strings like that. We're dealing with it now. We're big supporters of David Pascoe for Attorney General. And, I think we probably mentioned to you that we would be talking about that before you came on. But somehow somebody got to Donald Trump to get Donald Trump to say something negative about him. And I think it's because these staff people were fearful of him. So,
Right.
I'm sorry that you lost your X account on that. And that's not right. So
it's not right. My Facebook was good. They tried to take it out, but I was good. So
okay, good. Well, what else can you tell us about maybe your platform? What if elected? What would you do? What's your? Are you a Trump supporter? Are you a Rand Paul supporter, Thomas Massey type? Or are you a Trump guy? Or are you your own guy?
I'm MAGA, so I'm a hardcore Trump supporter. And I need to tell you something here. Look, I know it's still my civic duty to ask questions on behalf of my constituents. So just because you support anybody doesn't mean you can't do your job as a U.S. Senator, ask the questions to understand why they're doing certain things. So I think that's really, really important. So yes, I support the president. And I think that this is what I hear, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The reason that President Trump supports Lindsey Graham is because there are 50 federal judges coming up for or new positions. Do you know if that's correct?
I'm sure there are, and he obviously has been on judiciary for a long time, and I think he was chair of it before. He's a chair of the budget committee now, but I think he's allegedly going to be chair of judiciary in the next session. So I can see that, and I do think to me the MAGA America First Base citizens realize why Trump probably endorsed Lindsey Graham, because they've obviously had their fighting and all that kind of stuff. But I think some people certainly in the base can overlook an endorsement of Lindsey Graham being more political in the sense of he needs to keep Lindsey on task. So, but what we've said is it's great that the president does whatever he needs to do to kind of push forward the agenda, but he only has to deal with Lindsey Graham for 2 more years. We got to deal with him for 6. So.
Right, and what if he betrays President Trump again? So, and will it be after he's elected, or will he wait 2 years and then just start going after him, criminally for some reason? I don't know. I think that I call it an insurance plan. The best thing that we can do as voters is to make sure that Lindsey Graham retires, and if President Trump really needs him, he'll hire him and put him on the cabinet. And then if Lindsey Graham is on the cabinet, he's in a position where he can be fired if he does something wrong. But as a U.S. Senator, President Trump cannot fire him. So I think that's really important. If you love Lindsey Graham, you shouldn't elect him. You should pick someone else. So
That's a very valid and good point that he would be a little bit under more control if he was in the cabinet versus as a U.S. senator for 6 more years. So yeah. So anything else? What's the big platform issue that you kind of have? I mean, I understand that Lindsay, not the constituent services, or not talking to the people and kind of lost touch. What are other? And I will tell you my and just not to take away your time or whatnot, but I'll just give you kind of my thing is and I would love to hear from Lindsey Graham to kind of make his own case. It's everybody's case to make, but he is focused on, and I know they have to do some of this, everything outside of South Carolina, Ukraine, Middle East, everything else. And I wish he would. We need some help here, and we need a senator here that's going to connect us with DC and do some things. Tim Scott's kind of lost that edge as well. He seems to be doing fundraising for the Republican National Committee with the Senatorial Committee, and not really taking care of South Carolina. And we don't have Lindsey Graham doing that either. So that's kind of my issue. I'll let you kind of talk about your stuff.
Yeah, so 2 things. The first thing I could do, and I had a veteran call me, and he said when I try to reach Lindsey Graham, he doesn't call me back, and he volunteers his time to help veterans with their disability. And so he called me. He said, "I need your help. Will you do this for me?" I said, "Absolutely." So I want to take that a step further, though. I want to offer first-class constituent services, so something like we've never had before, and returning calls fast. Instead of having a staffer call you back, I'd like to be the one that calls you back. I think that's important. So first-class constituent services, and we also have problems with small businesses. So a couple days ago, I had a small business owner call me, and he's like, "I got a problem," and I'm like, "What's the problem?" He's like, "If you go to Walmart and you steal a TV, you go to jail." He said, "If you go to a car dealership and steal a car, you go to jail. You get a felony or a misdemeanor, they arrest you. And then you have to post bond." So if you're a small business owner and you go put a roof on top of someone's house and you have a contract and you've done a good job and you've got proof that you did it, a video, and they decide not to pay you, that's not a crime. So you've got to hire an attorney. You've got to go through the process of suing, and that takes sometimes years. For the guy that called me, he's a roofer. He's been dealing with this for 4 years. It was a $26,000 roof, and he's almost $20,000 in attorney fees. I mean, none of that makes sense whatsoever. And if the guy sells his house before he gets a judgment of any sort, then he could be out long term. So we're not looking out for small businesses. We've got to look out for our small businesses. If you're going to do a service, whether it's $100 or $100,000, you should be protected. And the great thing about that is if that person got arrested for stealing the roof and they didn't want to pay, number one, they have a criminal record for defrauding a small business. Number two, they should have to post a bond for the value of the service that they paid for, so that small business owner gets that. And as a small business owner, if I could look up on the computer to see if a homeowner's not paying their bills, that sure would make a difference whether or not I decide to do business with them.
No, that's a great point. And it's little things like that if our elected officials would get down and talk to folks, they might hear something like that and say, "You know what, I know a way to fix that." That seems to me as a simple thing that we can kind of get out there and try to fix. And maybe we got to step it up on our legal system or judicial system, or pass a law, or maybe we've got those laws that can enforce it today. But no, that's a very good point, and I appreciate you saying that. So that makes a lot of sense. So
sure.
I just think these people get elected and they go to DC or they go to Columbia and they get wined and dined by the people that want to pick our pockets, and they forget about who got them elected. But once they get in there, they're hard to get out. So.
Well, I believe in term limits. So I signed the congressional term limit pledge. I think that would fix a lot of problems. So.
Yeah. No, I think it would. And I understand the other side. I'm a believer in term limits too. I understand where the other side kind of gets into, we do have term limits every election. You can limit their term and it's up to us to do it. I get that argument. But when you're an elected official and the government controls, 40 or 50% of the economy, and they're doling stuff out to everybody on the planet, and you can have the government mail mailers for you, and as constituent services, as they like to call it, franking. And but it's hard to get them out. So I do believe in the old days. Go to DC and come home. So that works well.
So let me ask you a question. So where you're at, a lot of people that I'm coming across say they don't like Lindsey Graham, they don't like Mark Lynch. They're looking for a viable alternative, and everyone's talking, and I hear it nonstop. Are you hearing that or upstate or what?
Oh no, we're hearing we hear that, and we say it ourselves. So I mean, it's I don't mean to who wants to pick a fight with Lindsey Graham, because the odds are what they are, but right. Mark Lynch got us in a mess, and bullied out the other candidates that were out there. And, and that's, and I think Paul Dance tried to do the right thing, but there's a lot of people, and I try to, the generic candidate out there, or I'm sorry, the generic voter that sits in the middle. If I had a criminal record of Mark Lynch's, I don't care if it's 40 years ago or whatnot, it's a deal killer. My mother is the example I kind of use, and not to expose what she thinks. She's not happy with Lindsey Graham, or just thinks, the natural average vote, it's time for a change. And yes, he's over in Ukraine and the Middle East, and we need a change, but she can't, she's not going to be able to vote for a Mark Lynch. You just can't do it. I mean, you knew who would be president of the United States if the president and the vice president can't serve. You can't say there's a special election, and that's why I asked that question. And that was a setup. I mean, he should have known better. I'm not faulting people, but I wouldn't know all the numbers too. But I didn't. I'm not running for U.S. Senate, and I'm not claiming that I'm a constitutionalist and I'm going to do all this Constitution stuff. And I know literally almost zero about the Constitution. So, and that seems to be the case with Mark Lynch. But it's people are looking for something. So I think yourself, Thomas Dismukes, I think there's an opportunity out there. I wish you guys had been involved sooner and more. You could get your name out there. But no, we're hearing that from a lot of people. So, and I know you do. You're very good on the social media circuit out there. I guess you probably had a much bigger Twitter following, and then once it got cut off. But that may have scared somebody. So
I think it scared somebody. It definitely did. And the polls, a lot of the polls I see are, in my opinion, are paid propaganda polls. And then I've seen polls that I've not paid for. Joel Wilson with Political Pulse has been polling, and he's polling all three races, and his other races, including the U.S. Senate race, seem to be in line consistently. And so right now I'm around 2 to 3 points within Mark Lynch, and the margin of error is 3.5%. So Lindsey Graham would have to get under that 51% for it to go to a runoff. So my goal is obviously to hit second place. So
okay, that's great. I mean, yeah, I haven't seen that type of polling out there. I just haven't looked at it. I follow the betting odds, but your name's not on the betting odds. So
that's right. I'm not on there at all whatsoever. So
yeah, that's unfortunate. And I don't know why they don't include everybody. They should. And I just don't know why. We do have one question, Irene.
I'm Irene Heiliger, and I met you in person before when you came down here to Greenville or over. I don't know. But I do have several questions for you. You began, I don't just have one question, unfortunately. You began by saying you're fully MAGA. But MAGA is everything Trump says, according to Trump. What I'd like to know is, do you support all the wars that we're funding, the possible invasion of Cuba soon? What do you think of the buying up farmland by Bill Gates, by China? Where do you stand on illegal immigration, H-1B visas, war in Ukraine?
Let him catch up.
Data centers. The Republican Party is really big on data centers, AI, and the technocrats. Peter Thiel, for instance, is big in the Trump administration. Where do you stand on all these issues? I'm so sorry to be throwing them at you
like this, but yeah, that's what.
Answer the ones that you remember, and we'll grab us a few,
Oh.
grab a few others if you can't remember
Yeah.
them all, because I can't remember them all. So.
Right. So my phone number is always available. So if I don't answer, leave a message. You can call me back. I don't have a problem with that.
What's your number?
843-602-4950.
4950.
I think you're finding people that are looking for an alternative to Mark Lynch.
Right. No, I get it. So my father served two terms, Vietnam, one Korea. He died from Agent Orange exposure. So I don't want to see boots on the ground. That's for sure. But I understand that there are times that it will happen. Lindsey Graham wanted boots on the ground when he was a congressman, and one of my friends went to his death, Jason Dunham, because of that. So I know that even though I don't have my own children, I come from a big family. My grandparents had 5 daughters. They all got married and all had kids. So I have a huge family, and I don't want them going to war if they don't have to. So, but I understand we have a relationship with Israel, but I won't take the AIPAC money. But we have a mutual symbiotic relationship. We've got mutual enemies. We've got Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. These are bad people, and I don't think we need to put boots on the ground to take them out. So I really don't want to see any of our soldiers die if we don't have to. So America should be first. But I do support Israel. I'm just not going to take that money. As far as farmland, just recently, President Trump was talking about farmland and saying that the Chinese could own it. And I don't know if that was a strategic decision that he made, but it's my civic duty to ask questions. That's the question I would ask the president. Why did you say that? Because there's so many people that disagree with that. I disagree with it. But what's the strategy there? Is he trying to make peace with China? I don't know. So as far as data centers, and if you need to cut me off, just cut me off. As far as data centers, I used to mine Bitcoin cryptocurrency at a data center in Myrtle Beach, a 5-story building, no windows. I had a cage. And so I'm very familiar with data centers. And I'm very, very familiar with the companies that produce data centers. So I have a perspective that most people don't. I'm not saying I'm pro or con. I have a perspective most people don't have. And so when you have someone that buys some farmland and wants to put a data center, they don't just put it anywhere. They put it in an area where they have power accessibility from usually 2 different suppliers. So if they can't get it from one, they'll get it from the other. And they also don't just put a data center in without going to speak with the power plant to see what they have available. Because it wouldn't make sense to build a fancy data center and not have the power available. So that is something that the good data center companies do. So if you want to know about power and data centers, you need to look into a company called TeraWulf. And TeraWulf, they know what they're doing. You can talk to Mr. Prager. So that's important. So you have to know what you're dealing with. Data centers, the new cooling systems that they have do not cause a lot of pollution to water, but the concerns that I'm seeing is the sound pollution. And I couldn't imagine someone putting a data center in my backyard and having to listen to the whining sound of those fans and processors. So I don't like that. But if you bring a data center into your town or you don't have a lot of control, you need to learn how to communicate with them and say, hey, if we have a power surge, we have a heat wave and it's 120 degrees and we need that electricity, are you willing to either redistribute power or shut down or reduce usage during these hours? What I don't like is I don't like peak hours, especially if you're on a budget. If you're getting Social Security and it's 120 degrees outside between 3 and 6 p.m., you have to turn your electricity off. Like, that's not right. Peak hours is a problem. I don't like it. I don't know if y'all are dealing with it where you are, but we're dealing with it. And if you use one washing machine or dryer or the air conditioning for an hour during peak hours, you might get a $400 bill extra on your electric bill. So
I mean, yeah, and our belief, or my belief at least, is there is something with the issues with data centers, and I think we need to hear from a lot of people about it. But I mean, it's a very complicated thing. So I mean, Ron Reddy said, "Oh, they're all bad. Just stop it." I get it. I get that. Nancy Mason saying, "Oh, we'll just put a hold on it for a year and see where we go from there." But let me ask you about, because you mentioned that you did the crypto mining and all that kind. Do you still do it, or are you out of that? Is that did it used to be a profitable thing and it didn't work out?
Well, it started as a hobby that I started making $18,000 a month in profit, and so it was a good hobby. And in fact, I started a second location. So I built a small data center next to my house. So I built a 4,000 square foot metal building, and inside I put a 288 square foot data center with, listen to this now, this is cool, 96 220-volt plugs. So I started pulling a whole bunch of electricity from the neighborhood, and the police showed up. And, and they said, "We know what you're doing, but we still have to see it." So I said, "That's cool." They knew me.
Did they think you had a grow room in there?
They thought I was doing something bad. So, but I actually knew the one of the police officers that works for Santee Cooper, and so I hire a lot of firefighters and police officers for water damage, so they all know who I am, because they're the best clients or the best helpers when you have a building that's flooded. So you have a bunch of firefighters and police officers that are getting paid $50 an hour, so they're all happy. But so they checked it out. So now I do a lot of trading. So I'm very, very, very familiar with cryptocurrency, trading. I understand, Tim Scott's working on the Clarity Act. That should get passed here soon. That's going to help with regulation of cryptocurrency. And there's a way we can use that technology that people aren't aware of. For instance, if I go vote and I can have a QR code with a link that shows when I voted, where I voted, you checked my ID, who I voted for. That way I feel comfortable with my vote, and it's not changed, or it's not fake, or maybe somebody else has my ID somewhere else. Like, I want to know about that. So there's a way that cryptocurrency can help us.
Yeah. It's and I did William Timmons do that Clarity Act on the House side, get it passed, or is it?
So it was passed on the House, so it's sitting at the Senate. They're saying it's going to get passed by July 3rd or July 4th. There was a small hearing that just passed about a week ago. So now it's in the next process. They just have to go ahead and pass it, hopefully.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. But is crypto mining still a thing, or is it kind of gone?
No, there's still a thing, but the problem is that the equipment is very expensive. By the time you order it, which is mostly out of China, it could take weeks or months or a year to get your equipment, and then it could get damaged or stolen. And by then you could have bought the token and held on to it, and it's already increased in value. So there are people that do it on a small scale, but now it's large corporations are mining crypto.
Okay. And you are.
This is Frank. Just a follow up on the data centers.
Actually, can you? I think it comes through here, so it may not. Just speak.
Okay.
Speak. Come over here and speak loud, so I can hear.
I can kind of hear you.
All right.
Kind of.
Frank, just a follow up on the data centers. What about local municipalities giving tax breaks and incentives that the data centers ask for?
I think that's ridiculous. They've got the money. Let them build it. In fact, what are they going to contribute to the community? That's what I would say. What are you doing for the community? If you're going to put a big business here and it's going to be loud, or you're going to use all our electric, how will you help us? Are you going to power up our roads so we have more street lights, or, because they will give back, but you just have to ask. Say, hey, what are you going to do for us?
Yeah, I think everybody just wants the investment, so they give the house away. I mean, and not to keep harping on Ron Reddy, but he talks about that. What is the deal? with Scout Motors, we gave them $1 billion something. The second best offer was 151 million or 150 million. So Rom's like, well, we should have offered him 151, as opposed to 1.5 billion or whatever the heck it was. So it's
why are we paying a small business? It's a private entity, right? Why are we giving them any money?
Right. And I've always been a big believer. We ought to be helping our small businesses, because that will insulate the economy. If we have good small businesses everywhere, that insulates the economy. If a big manufacturer, we got BMW up here. BMW, for whatever reason, went out of business. We're in trouble. But
Right.
Not if we've got 1,000 or 10,000 small businesses that we've been supporting and growing. And I talked the Great Recession or whatever, the early 2008 or 10 frame in there. My wife's from Poland. It didn't impact Poland that much because they weren't on the euro. They had to still use their own currency, and it's a lot of small businesses. So it did not impact them. And then we're sitting there setting ourselves up. I look at it from a risk management perspective. You don't want to have these big companies. You want to have a bunch of small companies that can feed people and take care of everything and do the such. So we had one other question from Ray, and we got that turned off, so it does come through here. So just either speak loudly or try to get to my computer so they can hear you. Don't speak softly.
Hello, this is Ray, and I'm the pro-life committee chairman. I have some questions about your pro-life stance. I have some specific ones, and I understand if you're not completely spun up on them, but there's 3 in particular. There's the Restore Act, not Ted Cruz's one, but the one that deals with reproductive. I'm getting tongue-tied. Restorative reproductive medicine. There's and there's also the FACE Act, which we would like to see being rescinded. And finally, the Comstock Act's already in place, but we still have other states sending us mail-order abortion pills illegally. And again, the Comstock Act makes it illegal. This isn't a debate. This isn't a new law. This is simply getting the FBI to enforce the laws that we already have. And there be some other issues. I guess my biggest question is, if you have opinions on these, I'd like to hear them. If not, where would you go for a source? Who would you go to get spun up on these things?
Okay, so that's a good question. I had I believe I don't know if it's a political action committee or organization that, by the way, I am pro-life. Life starts at conception. And so I did have a survey. I don't have it in front of me, but I answered all those questions. And let me see. Look, you'll love this. I don't throw this stuff away. Hold on one second. I get all these postcards from the National Pro-Life Alliance. And so, look, like my mailbox is filling up with these things, and I love it, and I kept them because I love it. So the specific acts I don't have memorized in my mind, so I can't comment exactly on them, but you can call me and we can discuss them. But I'm pro-life. I don't think we should be sending abortion pills, which could be, they're poison from other countries. I just disagree with it completely. So did that answer your question, or did I just bypass you? I'm not avoiding you, I promise.
No, I appreciate the answer, and I look forward to talking to you later on.
Patrick, the good thing, if people are actually asking you the technical questions, that means they're getting a little more serious. So that's a positive thing. I know a lot of these things are out there, and there's a whole lot of, we talk about them a lot. So,
well, I like the questions, and number one, if there are problems, these are constituents, right? That's my job, is to listen to constituents and act on behalf of my constituents. It's not, what my personal idea is. And if it's something I don't understand, I ask a question. So, yeah, are you putting me on the spot? I don't mind, because if we were talking one-on-one, I would say, okay, well, explain that to me, and I'll tell you what I think about it. But I want to hear what you think about it, too. So, and I think that's important. As a U.S. Senator, I'm not going to be passing a bill in 5 seconds after I get a question about something. I'm going to have plenty of time to do my research, to ask the right questions, to reach out to constituents, to answer their concerns, and then, and then vote to make a decision. So, but I appreciate the questions, and please call me. If I don't answer, leave a message, and I'll call you back once I'm free. And that's with any subject matter. So if anybody didn't get a chance to ask me a question, I don't mind if you call me. And but I'm going to ask you questions too. If there's something I don't understand, I want to understand your perspective. That's important to me. So.
And that's refreshing to us too. So, but I guess the big issue is, you're pro-life from conception, and the other things we just need to talk about and figure them out. Not that you're pro or against anything, but I think if you understood it, I mean, and I tell people, my thoughts have developed over time from when I was, in high school. It was a different era in the 80s to what it is today, and understanding the technicality of, or seeing that it is a life. I would have told you when I was a kid that it's not my position to tell a woman what to do with her body, until somewhere, around, as I went through this stuff, I realized, wait a second, I'm not telling you what to do with your body. I'm just telling you not to kill this body. So, it just flipped completely. So, okay. So, but thank you for that. I think that helped there. Anything that you want to close with, or, I've appreciated your time. I didn't have an opportunity to talk to you very much when you were up here in Greenville for that one debate, or whatever they wanted to call it. But I did find it interesting when at the end, y'all were each asked, oh, if so-and-so does not, if you don't make it to the runoff and these other two are, who would you support? And you did say, I don't know if it was a trick question or not, but you answered that you would support Paul Dans over Mark Lynch. So I think that was
right. That was a tough question. I took the question first, and then Mark Lynch chose me, and then Paul Dans, he wouldn't choose anybody. He was just mad.
I think, was it Paul or was it Mark? I think Mark said he wouldn't choose anybody.
No, Mark said he would choose me because I was a small business owner, and I appreciate that. Okay. But Paul wouldn't make a decision. At the time, Paul and Mark were headbutting each other, so it was kind of insinuated they would both choose me. But Paul didn't want to give in and say, hey, Herman got two. But so.
Anybody but Lindsay.
I think, Terry was saying it was anybody but Lindsay, but that's okay. I mean, it's, if to me, if the goal and the mission was to replace Lindsey Graham, no candidate should, or none of the challengers should have attacked anybody but Lindsay, if that was the goal. But I personally been very frustrated seeing Mark Lynch go after everybody else. So there's our clock. So the clock. Okay. So anything else to close with, or just how do we find you? What's your website? All that good stuff.
So I'm on Facebook, Patrick Herrmann, 2 R's, 2 N's. I'm also on Twitter. A lot of that information, Facebook's public, so you don't even have to have an account. You should be able to see everything that I post. I do talk about a lot of facts. I don't think of that I'm attacking someone on a personal level. I am going to point out the facts in reference to whether it's Mark Lynch or Lindsey Graham. I do point things out. I'm not scared of that. That's kind of my job. If you want to pick a U.S. senator that's not going to fight for you, then I don't understand that. So you need someone that's willing to answer the difficult questions, that's going to stand up and fight for what's right. And my phone number is available too. I have no problem talking to people, and sometimes I'll go late at night answering questions. And so I'm okay with it. Call me if you need to call me. So
fantastic. Well, thank you for that, and we'll be on the lookout of everything and anything we can do, for you. I'll let you know. And if you're up here in the Greenville area next, give us a shout out, and we'd love to see you.
Thanks. Yeah, if you guys are active on social media and you like my post or you don't like them, feel free to comment, share. And right now, it's just I really need to get my voice out there. That's important. I want people to know that they have a choice other than Lindsey Graham and Mark Lynch. So I'm a viable alternative conservative executive committeeman in the GOP. And thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everybody. All right. Okay, let's turn this stuff back on. Turn the
volume off. I'll plug this.
Lots to do.
I know, and Olga wasn't ready. We're gonna add Terry back to the stage. All right, how is it all working? Do we have volume? I think we have volume there. We have a lot of events to announce. Anybody got any comments or questions about Patrick? Yes, and I think the mics are working now because we turned them back on.
Yes.
We're gonna find a way to do this.
I'll go Patrick. I wanted to go back to our previous
Oh,
conversation.
anybody got any comment on Patrick or thoughts?
No, we're moving on.
Okay, good. All right.
Kind of back to the governor's race, just a comment on Nancy Mace. She seems to be pretty silent lately. Is there anything talking about? I see ads for everybody else. I don't see her putting her face out much.
I think part of that is she doesn't have yard signs, and so a lot of people, and I did think through that a little bit. A lot of grassroots get excited about, oh, I want a yard sign. I want a yard sign on my house, all that kind of stuff. And I think you miss that if you're a statewide candidate and you don't have any yard signs. I understand the technicality that, $3-4 yard sign and having to manage it and get it put out there is not a good payback. But I'll tell you, one of our former ECs in one of our precincts that we've known him for years, he called the other day because Nancy Mace, I guess she was sitting there, they were doing phone banking, and she was actually calling constituents. So, I mean, he's got a call from her, and, he talked to her and, supportive and whatnot.
Because I'm just immediate from everybody else, but not her.
I think we saw an ad for her
Yeah, I
the
saw
other day.
one ad for her the other day.
I think it's kind of like with what Ron does, something different with the newspapers.
Your wife said it's not true.
What's not true?
Whatever, it's not true.
Okay.
I'm always wrong.
Oh, yes.
You should be used to that by now.
Well, she's at home working. She's at home working and getting paid, and you're here. So, yeah, you're wrong. I think candidates have different types of strategies and what they do. I think she's very much online and stuff like that.
You will probably now see all her ads. I had a message from a candidate asking, have you seen any of my ads this week? I'm not going to say who. And I said, no, I haven't seen. Are you paying someone and they're not showing up? What's happening? The next thing I open my phone, every time I open it, there's an ad from that candidate. So we just shaking their algorithm. You will see it.
It's a very interesting break. I did hear the negative hit pieces were going out on her.
Yeah.
So, and then I did see that Pamela Vet was doing something that made it look like, she was endorsed by Trump, because some people were saying, oh, yeah, she's, she got the Trump endorsement. We're like, no, where? But again, she was giving a misleading ad that said that. It is going to get crazy and desperate over the next 2 weeks. There'll be positives and negatives to all this type of stuff.
Tuesday night should be very interesting.
What's Tuesday night? Oh, is that the next debate over in Wofford? Yes. Yeah. So. But Pam Yvette's not coming to that. And I mean, why she bagged out on that, I have no earthly idea. Speaking, grab the mic if you have a question. So, because I can't hear you online. Yes.
Hello. Yes. No, I don't have a question. I was just commenting to reply a little bit to Eileen and to what we heard the other night when we went to the big conference we went to. It's just to spread some positivity about what might be happening a little more on the Trump scene or national scene.
Which conference is this y'all went to?
The one on the chemtrails on Monday.
Oh,
which,
Monday night. Yes.
I've been following a lot of that for many, many years, and most of it I found to be true. But just Trump did an amazing thing on May 13th with his negotiation with China, and China has agreed to buy its oil now from the U.S. I think it's pretty major, as well as X number of Boeings, and there was another electronic thing that he's going to be buying from the U.S. I've been involved with manufacturing for over 30 years. Locally, I've gone to the South Carolina Manufacturing Alliance yearly for many, many years. I've had positions in industrial relations in France, in Canada, et cetera. So what I saw happen in Canada and the US is our very, very good manufacturing that paid tremendously good. Well, $50 an hour to work in semiconductor manufacturing is pretty good, way back in the 80s. And that got outsourced overseas because the Clintons said that it was bad business and nobody wanted to do that kind of work. right? So
Kind of
then-
like what Jim DeMint did to textiles here in the upstate.
exactly.
He
And then
killed
look at the textiles. So people were paid what, $17 an hour way back in the 80s to make wonderful textiles here in South Carolina, and now we buy very cheap stuff. And how much are you paid at Starbucks? Less than that. So Trump has a strategy to bring back our manufacturing to this country, and there will be some short-term pollution and issues involved with that. So I imagine with the data centers, we might have some things going on that way as far as pollution and whatnot. But it's very important that we stop outsourcing everything that we do, where other countries have us over a barrel, and semiconductors that are used in our missiles are now manufactured by China. So how could we say anything to China when we are in heavy conflict and heavy negotiation? So he's got long-term plans to do good environmental things for this country. I know that we will be needing oil for a while, but he is planning to prepare in parallel alternative energy. But he wants us first to be independent from oil, which means we'll be using dirty gasoline for a little while yet. But his plan is not that ultimately. But we have to be able to stand strong internationally. And that is the way to do it. We have to manufacture and be autonomous within this country, or else we are vulnerable with every negotiation. And so there will be dirty things used short term, but that is not ultimately his plan, because I believe he is going to be using Tesla energy, which is free and clean and whatnot. And that probably has to be stored on bad batteries. And I don't agree with battery technology, but it might be a short term solution that we might need, you know? So I think that there are some long-term strategies taking place that are really important to see, and that might give some peace in the short run on some of these other issues.
Can I add to that? Oh, I'm sorry, you weren't finished.
No, I'm finished. I was just trying to help you, Eileen.
I just wanted to add that our national oil reserve is being depleted because we are selling it to our allies who have less oil because of the Iran war. I know that's not true.
It's true that we are selling it, but we have 300 years with the confiscation. We have yes, we do.
I think
Yes,
she may be talking
Venezuela.
about the strategic oil reserve.
Yeah.
They've been draining that down, but that's all part of maintaining, trying to keep the
The
price
price
down.
of the pump, I think, is being fixed by Lloyd's of London or some complicated thing that I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
So, but we have vast oil reserves now, thanks to the situation with Venezuela.
Oil to California.
So,
California can't get enough oil. They used to buy a bunch out of Iran. Now that they don't get any oil from Iran, so they're running out of oil.
So they're gonna have to buy from us?
Texas can start selling oil to California. And also California is
Right.
one of the biggest reserves of oil in the world.
It does. There's a ton of oil in California. They don't want to.
the whole thing with Iran is super important what we did, because we were under annihilation attack at any minute. All of I compost, I grow organic gardening, all of that matters very little if Iran has sent a nuclear thing and killed us. So, you know, that has been neutralized, and that took war, and it took very few boots on the ground, but we had to do that to get world peace, and they've been threatening us for 50 plus years. So
But our
I just,
strategic oil reserve, it's okay.
oh yeah, we have 300 years worth.
So much.
Yeah.
We have
And
more
now
in the ground we
now
can bring
sell
up.
to China and make money.
Okay.
know,
Do you
so
have an
we
update on the
trade
pro-life stuff or
alliance.
something just generally? And then we got a couple events we want to remind everybody about. Yes. Go ahead.
Do an update on the shooting case from Columbia. Mark had his, he did have a trial earlier this week. It was on Wednesday. There's been no decision. They're hoping to get a decision sometime next week. Problem is, I had a friend who was there. He said even though he thought Mark presented a really good self-defense case, he did not like what he heard when the judge and the two attorneys were talking to each other at the end. And this is a notoriously liberal judge. If the judge rules against Mark, then he'll go to a full jury trial.
Okay. So this was just some sort of motion hearing before. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a trial without a jury, but the judge hasn't rendered his decision yet. But if the judge rules against Mark, then it's going to go to a full jury trial.
Okay.
So, yeah, whatever the technical term in the legal world is.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Moving on, again, on Monday, June 8th, we're going to have a theology of the body. It's going to be about how wonderfully made human beings are, and how we need to treat ourselves and our fellow humans as such. This is really the solution to probably about 95% of the problems our country's facing, is for people to actually respect ourselves as individuals.
Where is that?
Now this one's going to be at Christ on Main.
Christ on Main, June 8th, the Monday, June 8th.
Do you have an extra?
I can as many as you want.
Thank you.
Okay, and
Okay, moving on shortly after that, on the 13th, the Pro-Life Committee is going to be working with Love Life to for the monthly prayer walk. The leader of this group, Kylie, is probably going to be here for Coffee and Politics right before the day before the event. So that would be the 12th. They'll probably be here for our 12th.
That'd be great. Love to hear from them.
And let's see, on July 20th, I'll be giving a talk on morality and ethics. And you don't need to have come to my socialist talks, but for those who did go to socialist talks, I think you'll see a lot of overlap between the two. And I don't have a flyer yet, but in August we're going to be giving a talk on how abortion is actually feeding the spiritual warfare that's going on in our country.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Legislative session is over as of Thursday last week, I guess, and they've been doing the redistricting. So that's, we will regroup with all the stuff we're doing on the legislative committee and that agenda, and we will hear over the summer and into the fall different folks that are pushing different agendas, legislative things, so we can gear up for next January. But we do have some events here. I think it was May 30th. Nancy, there's a spaghetti dinner that Pickens and Oconee are doing. Nancy Mason's coming to that on the 30th. What else? I guess. Well, that's, I didn't have it. So if you want to tell me. Okay. So a seat at the table, candidate spaghetti supper and question and answer featuring Nancy Mace. And that is at the Cannon Mountain Baptist Church Fellowship Hall, 302 Wood Lane Drive, Pickens. Next Saturday at 6 p.m. Anything else you want to share with it?
No.
Should we bring your friends?
Oh, I don't know if they'll have, those people. So we'll let the protesters know that they can come out there. That is quite entertaining.
First before they attack.
Yeah. So, all right, what else you got? Is that it?
Early voting starts on Tuesday.
Early voting starts on Tuesday. For here in Greenville, go to greenvillegop.com/vote. Has all the locations and all that information, but does start on Tuesday. I think it's 8:30 to 5. You can go to McAllister Square, or there's 4 other locations that will be open for early voting. And on top of that, it's not on Saturdays. It's just it'll be Tuesday through Friday, and the next Monday through Friday. And then when they actually get to the runoff, all 5 of those early voting locations will be open for the runoff. I think it's only 2 days, and then they'll have the actual election. But election day, you go to your precincts, and they've got that going. But there are at least 5 early voting locations, so hopefully spread make it a little bit closer for everybody. Yes, Mike?
You've seen sample ballots for your precinct?
Yeah, I mean, if their sample ballots are online, there's links on the greenvillegop.com/vote. It was in our paper. There's a video about how to do it, the whole thing. But you'll look at SC votes. You can go in, log in. It'll have you put your legal first name, last 4 of your social security, and your date of birth, and you can pull up your actual sample ballot. Right. We encourage everybody to go do that so they can see it. If you're in your neighborhood, some of the pamphlets we've been, door lit drops we've been doing, people have been printing out their local ballot and sticking a copy of it in there. Some people just leave it blank and say, here's what it's going to look like. You make your choice. Some are like marking who they like. So, so that's up to your precinct. Yes.
Just to comment on the sample ballots, when you vote, as a poll worker, take a printed piece of paper. You can't take your phone in if you want to do that. Just a warning.
Yeah.
What was that? Can you repeat it?
When you do a sample ballot, if you pull it electronically and put it on your phone, you can't take your phone in to vote. Put it on a piece of paper if you want to write down.
You can take a piece of paper if you have some notes.
You can't take your phone.
Right.
You can. If you
your phone?
If you have a sample ballot available.
On your phone?
Because
I think that the fear is you're going to take pictures. They're very anxious about pictures.
I
So,
had my phone in my pen,
Right.
but I didn't have first. They asked me to put it.
so probably best case, print it out.
The best thing is take,
Just take a piece of paper.
to be safe, take a hard
I
copy.
just took the lessons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we didn't allow it either.
And that is a tip.
You don't want a phone near the voting machine.
Voting.
That's a typical example that even in the trainings, they give you conflicting
things.
information. Best case, take a piece of paper. Let's stick with that. What else we got? Oh, Chris had a question.
Do you know if the runoff elections are going to be in exactly the same precinct voting places as
Runoff locations, yes. So in the runoff, for the early voting, you'll have your you can go early, but for the runoffs, they are planning on having it at your precinct. There may be one or two things that change here and there, but go to,
same locations as the primary?
it should be, yes.
Because, I can't find that information anywhere yet. So.
Yes, the same.
Yes, same location.
All right. And our.
Oh, yes, the fun. Let's not forget. The best thing is we are going to have a watch party here. We're just doing a cook out, anything, if you're working the polls, watching anything you want to come here after, we'll have hamburgers and hot dogs and all that good stuff. We got a big blow up thing that we put on outside. We'll have the TVs and stuff going here, and the blow up thing actually we can put the TV on there too. So we'll be here and everybody's welcome and it should be fun. And I do know that apparently Spartanburg is not having a watch party, so they're telling their folks to come here. So, and I know because Olga printed some stuff out for distribution at their camp meeting tomorrow. Coffee and American Patriots. But again, we would highly encourage you to go tomorrow, 9:30 to 11:30. David Pasco is going to be speaking there. So I sure it might be very interesting. So folks, think about it. We're going to get to the point where we're going to take over the SCGOP. We were there in 2023, right? And Drew McKissick pulled a string or whatever. They cheated, all the kind of craziness, and we got stabbed in the back by the Freedom Caucus and all that stuff in 23. This might be the fourth time they stabbed us in the back. When you're about to have victory, that's when the swamp creatures really come out. And we've seen, and I'm not bashing on Donald Trump by any means. There's no way on the planet that gentleman actually fully understands all the issues that we've seen. But somebody who does is whispered in his ear and got him to make a post a certain way. And I get it. We all talk. There are millions being spent against David Pasco for a reason, because people don't want to go to jail. They want to keep their gravy trains going, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not
because he endorsed Biden.
Not because it has zero to do with the fact that he endorsed Biden. It's what we tell candidates all the time. If you've got something in your background, it's going to come out, i.e. a 6-page SLED report. Should know. You could have dealt with that before.
Yeah.
It's going to come out, or they're going to make it up. So right now, I have no issues or concerns with David Pasco. But I'm telling you, the other side, the rhinos, the swamp creatures, they're freaking out because
it's out of her mind.
Yeah.
Well, for whatever. Catherine, last word, and then we'll take a motion. Grab the mic quick.
That's crazy.
I just wanted to say that having these people come over here to talk to us is important, because they're not just talking to Jeff, they're talking to me or others. So when they come to visit us here, that's really important in my mind to think about them. And it's like that gal said, you need to research your own candidates, but to have information at your hands that Jeff does have, because he's over this county for us, is really important. And if people still want to do something, we still have packets that need to go out to neighborhoods, to your neighbors, so they know, vote, get involved, because it's local that creates the federal.
Next week, we get the second version of the paper. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff in of packages. This will be the final push. to get the voter turnout. We want to work on voter turnout. It may be the same, it may be lower, it may be higher. I don't know, but we got to get people out to vote. And we need to give them some information to think about. And, I think people are crazy. Ralph Norman will not speak to us. Anybody going to vote for somebody that won't speak to us, won't speak to, especially people that are sitting there saying, oh, I'm here to shake up and drain the swamp in Columbia. Literally, that's on our bumper stickers, for God's sakes.
Won't do it now. Won't do it when it's
Oh, and once they're elected, they're never going to speak to us. And if there's anybody out there working harder than we are to drain the swamp and expose corruption and all that stuff, let them know to come talk to us. Or but if they're saying that and they're not talking to us, they're lying to everybody else. So, I mean, it's quite interesting, and I appreciate what Ron Reddy's done this week of really kind of exposing a lot of that, because it might not have been the smart political things to do, probably not, but holy cow, he's seeing something and he's saying something, and he's saying the right things, and he's seeing and saying the things that the rest of us are out there doing. And they start lying to us and telling us, oh, no, the problem is Jeff Davis. He's just so mean. Oh, now Ron Reddy's mean. Everybody's mean, And I'm like, no, it's not mean. You are sitting there, and your group was founded by a pedophile. And, y'all defended him up until the end, even after it was known and out. And they still defended him. Ryan McCabe wrote a letter to the judge asking for leniency for R.J. May. And I'm like, Ryan, have you read the trash of what that guy actually did? I do not know how anybody can support, especially the fact that they don't talk to us, but support that organization. I don't get it. And we've seen it this week with Adam Morgan going off on Ron Reddy and going off at David Pasco. I thought the problem was Jeff Davis. Oh, apparently it's Ron Reddy, it's David Pasco, and everybody else who wants to drain the swamp because they want to be part of the swamp. They just want to be on top.
Who the mud is slung at Tuesday night during the debate.
Oh yeah, and that's right. We'll check out the debate on Tuesday. That's the GOP's doing it over in Wofford, and it'll be interesting to see where the mud gets slung there. And why Pamela Vetta's not showing up? Probably because she was going to get the mud slung at her. I don't know. So, but hey, anybody got anything else? All right, we got to go. Do we have a motion? Does Anthony have a motion?
For lunch?
Anthony? Do you have a motion? It'll be televised. Yes. Motion?
Motion to
Adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. All right, let's go. Thank y'all. Back next week.